So guys, Omotosho is actually in big trouble. Don't forget that Nnamdi Kanu sent a letter to Donald Trump telling him about the injustice that is being carried out in the Federal High Court by Justice James Omotosho. And Omotosho ended up sending Nnamdi Kanu to life in jail. And away from that, recently, precisely on the 8th of December this very month, which was on Monday recently, Omotosho ruled against Nnamdi Kanu's suit to be transferred from Sokoto prison to a correctional facility within the jurisdiction of Abuja Metropolis. And why Nnamdi Kanu sent in that suit was to be able to file an appeal in the Court of Appeal against the injustice and against the life imprisonment sentence that was being given to him. And unsurprisingly enough, Omotosho quashed that very suit of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. And in today's session, there are possible US actions which I will display here for you guys to watch, because the US are actually involved in this very case. Because the UN Working Group vindicated Nnamdi Kanu, the Federal High Court in Kenya vindicated Nnamdi Kanu, even the Appeal Court in this very country vindicated Nnamdi Kanu, stating that Nnamdi Kanu is innocent, stating that no other court has a jurisdiction to try Nnamdi Kanu. So where did Omotosho get the jurisdiction to sentence Nnamdi Kanu to life imprisonment? Well, Omotosho is actually in trouble because, just like I reported in my previous videos, the ICC have already asked Justice James Omotosho that Omotosho should show them the section of the law that gives him the power to try Nnamdi Kanu under a repealed law. And they also requested Omotosho to submit to them the evidence that gave him the jurisdiction to sentence Nnamdi Kanu. Well, in the first place, Omotosho had no jurisdiction to try Nnamdi Kanu, and the letter that was sent to Trump contained everything that happened in court on that very day. And to add to it, an executive summary was also sent to Donald Trump, pointing out the illegality that transpired in courts on the judgment day of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, pointing out to Donald Trump that, look, some errors occurred on the judgment day, pointing out that, look, these were some illegalities that Omotosho had to carry out in order to prove himself right to sentence Nnamdi Kanu to life imprisonment. And this is to tell you that Justice James Omotosho is illegal, and Justice James Omotosho had no power or authority to sentence Nnamdi Kanu imprisonment. And now the US President Donald Trump has every briefing in which he needs to know in this very case. I'll be bringing you the possible actions, but before then, there is a short video clip I want you to watch. After watching this video, we are going to be heading straight to the US possible actions on this.
So I woke up this morning to a video circulating on social media pretty much some years ago about Nnamdi Kanu in the UK. I would like us to watch the video. When we come back, I'll talk about it.
My name is Nnamdi Kanu, and the reason why we're here today is to protest the killing of innocent women and children, and men for that matter, all over Nigeria, especially the northern part of Nigeria. We are not happy, we are not pleased with what is happening, and that is why we're here today. As you can see, there are a lot of Nigerians who are protesting about the killing of families, people who are determined to tear the country apart violently, and it is not something that we support. It is not something that we would like to see continue, and we are here today to send a clear message to the Nigerian government through the High Commissioner that what is happening in the country is unacceptable, and we cannot accept it. If that continues, it will lead to the violent disintegration of the country. There will be no more Nigeria for anyone to go to. There will be no Nigeria for anyone to refer to. In fact, what is happening in Somalia today will be like a tea party. So we cannot allow this nonsense to continue. Something has to be done, and the consequences of the actions of terrorism in Nigeria must be driven home to the people, so that even the terrorists themselves will be able to understand that there is no mileage in what they're going. The only thing they can accomplish is the breakup of Nigeria. If they think that they can cower people, if they think they can force people to be coerced into a religion which is not theirs, then they are clearly mistaken. We are asking for peace, we are asking for people to get together, we are asking for everybody who loves Nigeria, who is associated with that country, to please prevail upon terrorism in Nigeria so we can bring it to an end. That is why a multitude of Nigerians are gathered here today. Those of us in the UK are determined to work with the government for peace. We are determined to work with the Council Committee for peace. But one thing we cannot stomach is a repeat of 1966. What is happening today in Nigeria was the reason why Nigeria fought a bitter civil war for 3 years between 1967 and 1970. If this continues, there will be another civil war in Nigeria. And this time around, no place will be safe in Nigeria. This time around, nobody will be safe in Nigeria. So it is imperative that everybody who has the interest of the country at heart acts steps now and immediately to stop this nonsense from continuing.
You've watched the video, right? Okay. So watching that video, the first thing that came to my mind was the fact that Nnamdi Kanu once believed so much in Nigeria. Nnamdi Kanu once fought for the unity, peaceful coexistence, and security of lives and properties of Nigeria. Nnamdi Kanu once hold the Nigerian flag and Nigerians, both home and abroad, so dearly to his heart. Nnamdi Kanu once visualized and pictured a Nigeria that works for everyone, irrespective of your tribe, your religion, or your ethnicity. Because listening to Nnamdi Kanu speak so passionately about the lives of Nigerians being cut short back home in Nigeria, even though he was in the UK, was something I feel that we should all have a deep thought about. Now, few years down the line, after agitating, after calling for government to take responsibility of securing lives and properties of Nigerians seriously, that the government failed, he resorted to say, no, una not fit dey buy everybody for the country. Instead of una to allow this insecurity creep down from the north, if una not take una life seriously to the east, where I value my people, then I should agitate for self-actualization of my people. And that was how that started. Biafra, again reincarnating, but in a different being of Nnamdi Kanu. Now, let me say this, right? Before you will criticize Nnamdi Kanu, let me explain to you that so many of us who are angry with the system had one way or the other protested and agitated just the way Nnamdi Kanu did. But maybe we did it in another perspective. Let me now tell you. Do you know that if you have ever jackpot from Nigeria because you got tired of the system and you felt like the system can no longer take care of you or promise you that which governance is all about, and then you left angrily, do you know that's a part of agitation? You were angry, you were dissatisfied, and the best way for you to show your dissatisfaction was to leave. That's a way of it. There are other people who got angry and say, you know what? Whatever wants to happen in Nigeria, let it happen. I'm not going to talk about Nigeria again. I'm not going to contribute. I'm not going to do anything in this country anymore. And then it's just about them and their children. When you're talking about national issues, they are not interested. That is a way of protest and agitation. There are others who also, even though they are in this country, they feel like, oh, the Yorubas don't put us for too much problem. The Hausas don't put us for too much problem. The Igbos don't cause a lot. The Urhobos don't cause a lot. And then they do not want to see people from different regions around them because they are angry, believing that over the years that they have been marginalized. That is a way of expressing your anger, your dissatisfaction and protest.
So guys, let's head straight to the possible actions the US could take on this very case regarding Nnamdi Kanu and Justice James Omotosho. 1. Diplomatic inquiry through US Embassy, Abuja. If the letter reaches the right channels and raises human rights concerns, the US government could request clarification from Nigeria on the case, ask for case documents or trial details, monitor the situation more closely. This is the most common and realistic first step. 2. US State Department Human Rights Review. Kanu's complaints could trigger a review under the annual US Human Rights Reports, notation of alleged judicial misconducts. torture, or due process violations. Even a small mention in the reports is powerful because governments take it seriously. 3. Pressure for due process reforms. The US could privately encourage Nigeria to ensure fair trial standards, allow full legal rights, remove reliance on a repealed or unconstitutional law if that is proven true. 4. Congressional attention if advocacy groups amplify it. If human rights groups or diaspora organizations push the issue, US Congress members could write an open letter to Nigeria, ask for congressional briefing, raise the case at a House Foreign Affairs Committee session. 5. Potential sanctions discussion in brackets only if severe abuses are proven. If the letter includes strong evidence of judicial corruption, torture, human rights violations, it could start conversations about travel bans for officials, asset freezes in brackets under the Global Magnitsky Acts. 6. Engagement with international human rights NGOs. Kanu's letter could be forwarded to Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, Freedom House. 7. Media pressure through US news outlets. If the letter is publicized, US media might ask the State Department for comments, place international spotlight on the trial, cover the legal irregularities like repealed law issue. And finally, 8. Trump-specific scenario if he personally responds. If and only if Trump personally reacts, which is uncertain, he might make a public statement criticizing the process, promise to look into it, and finally use the issue as part of his foreign policy narrative. These are the possible actions the US could take regarding Kanu's case with Justice James Omotosho in the Federal High Court. Well, it is clear even to the blind that the injustice against Nnamdi Kanu is getting out of hand, and Justice James Omotosho in the first place had no rights and had no power to sentence Nnamdi Kanu to life imprisonment because Kanu in the first place had no case to answer. At this point in time, you have seen, you have also read the possible US actions. What's your thought on this? Do well to like this video, do well to share this video, and do well to hit the subscribe button below for more trending updates.